state lawmakers were considering a proposal to legalize miniature Kei cars. The proposal failed, but Kei car drivers say they are still fighting.
Kei car owners have convinced the state to reverse the ban for now.
Okay, so I was just finishing up working on the 430 and I wanted to share with you some good news as long as no one messes it up, which by the way, I'm standing right here at our future Martini Works bar. I'm really, really excited about this. But hey, what's the story? On May 21st, 2025, a bill was passed in Texas that codifies, which is just a fancy word for outlining a rule in a way that makes it make sense in the eyes of the court, the ability to title, register, and operate Kei trucks in Texas. Let's go! That's such a good news, but this whole battle, quite honestly, over the last like 5 to 10 years, still isn't over, which is why we need to start at the beginning and why I need you to tell me if you think this is a good thing or not below. But this means way more than just about the ability to modify and own little Tonka trucks. So just bear with me here. How did this whole thing start? Okay, so if you guys and gals haven't been around recently, if you take it back to like August 2024, a mullet-wearing Alex, which apparently wasn't loved by all, talked about how Kei trucks began getting kind of singled out in legislation, most particularly in the ability to even title or register or own them in the United States. And it started with the AAMVA, or the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, when they opted to create a regulation of off-road vehicle best practices update guide that they said, quite simply, to not register Kei trucks. Now, why did they even do that to begin with? Well, because in my tin hat belief, someone with a Subaru Sambar told Ian Grossman that they didn't like his bald head. Now that's halfway a joke, but in my opinion, I think there was and has been some persuasion from OE manufacturers over the last probably decade or so. I know it sounds conspiracy-ish. I get it. It's not, because I said it's not. See, you can see the weirdest proof of this when America decided to pick fights over chickens in the 60s. That was an odd time considering we seemed equally focused on building nukes for some reason, and I'm not entirely sure why we were doing that. But let's face it, okay? With the AAMVA and any sort of group like that, there is absolutely no way a non-governmental, non-profit lobbying group that's composed of motor vehicle administrators and law enforcement from jurisdictions across the country that has ties to your state DMV wouldn't be influenced by some form of money, manufacturers, or just straight up fear. So that's a tin hat statement, and I own that. But when the automotive industry is a 2.8 million person employer with over 130 billion in annual compensation, I'd be pretty silly, stupid, dumb to think that those companies are keen on folks like us buying a $5,000 Kei truck when an F-150 is $72,000 over the course of an 84-month loan, which is a real loan term these days. That blows my mind. Okay, so these things started getting banned, right? Why did states listen to the AAMVA? Well, you use the AAMVA like you'd use a hand sanitizer after touching something crusty yet moist. Gets it off your hands quickly, but you don't have time to go to the bathroom because you're at Disneyland. Now, is that shit or was that just dried chocolate? We will never know. The AAMVA shortened the feedback loop of what states should and shouldn't do or be allowed to do, and a lot of states typically blindly follow their recommendations, but they're not required to. States like Colorado, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Virginia, and West Virginia all have restrictions for titling Kei vehicles. Stop touching this, Alex. I'm getting splinters because we put the wrong top on this bar. My God. Connecticut, Georgia, Iowa, Maryland, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, all labeled them as illegal to register. But some states were like, maybe. It depends on how we're feeling, you know? Like, what do you think we should do? And that is where the real mess started to occur in the past few years. Inconsistent ruling with DMVs led to people sometimes being told that they couldn't register their Kei trucks, where other places said that they could. And it started getting weirder because it was also impacting non-Kei vehicles, but just Japanese import cars as a whole. Like when my Gloria sold a few months back to a guy named Travis, he lives in Pennsylvania, and he actually reached out to me not even a week after, because Pennsylvania was giving them an issue on registering the car because it didn't have the right number of VIN digits and couldn't be registered per, quote, AAMVA recommendations. Now, these are recommendations that these states are following, and DMVs are being selective about how they enforce them or don't enforce them, which has made this whole thing a huge mess. Now, none of this should be a thing because of what would be called the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act, aka the 25-year rule. Now, that should have exempted these vehicles from any form of registration issues, but it hasn't. Now, we haven't gone into this. I went into this before in the other video. If you want to watch that, it's up here. I know I rant sometimes, but you might be saying, Alex, you're biased. You just want to sell Kei car parts through Martini Works. Well, you're dang right I do, okay? And when a Gloria can't get registered, then they can't buy Volk GTCs and Conti tires from us, so then we can't keep making cool videos. So yes, I would say there's a little bias to keep our little wheel and tire packaging brand going, but that doesn't matter. That's not why I'm talking about this, because there were some people in my comments on my last video that very much did not like my haircut, did not like the way I said vague, and thought that I was biased because we sold car parts, and those people, except the haircut, that was a little weird. I'm talking about this because the ban, in my opinion, is bullshit. It just is. And this guy and this team said that out loud, that he got the entire state of Texas to agree with him, which is finally why we get to talk about the good news. This is David McChristian, not McChristiansen, founder of Lone Star Kei, and it's a Texas-based advocacy group dedicated to protecting Kei truck ownership across the country. Now, he has contacted every single state legislature to reverse the DMV's policy around Kei trucks, and it actually worked. I don't know how this managed to work, but it worked in Texas of all states. And in April of 2024, Texas changed their policy, and guess what? As long as it doesn't get vetoed, we're looking pretty good, because the passage called the SB 1816 explicitly states and legalizes the ability to title, register, and operate specifically Kei vehicles in Texas. Now, this protection is huge, right? Just earlier in May, Colorado did the same thing, but it doesn't go into effect until 2027. And as long as the governor, like I said before, doesn't veto it, we're actually in what might be some pretty good news. Now, this team has been working forever to help states like reverse the silly recommendations based on the fact that some of these states ban them because they aren't safe on public roads, as if motorcycles don't exist. And it's been really weird to watch. Now, these are the guys and gals that are probably doing the thing that we all wish that we would do when it comes down to our state legislation, which I'm sure everyone in the comment section agrees. They're really, really smart, caring, awesome people that also are freaking idiots sometimes. And I mean that with all love and sometimes no love as well. I mean, they were one of the driving reasons that Massachusetts actually reversed their quiet ban on Keis and JDM cars since May of 2024. Why do I keep touching my hands on this bar that is giving me splinters? I'm not going to be able to pee. All right, it's not just about making them legal. I just wanted to make this video really quick because this is a big deal. We've talked about this and you've gotten mad at me for talking about this a few times, but to me, it's also about reversing the states that decided to title these as off-road vehicles too. There are states out there that did register them as like UTVs. States like Michigan, for instance, who ended up getting sued by the advocacy group, and wouldn't you know, now Michigan is backing off the ban. So why is this a big deal in my opinion? I get it. Not everyone cares about affordable, small, slow, awkward-looking, Pokemon-tuned trucks, okay? I totally feel you there. Quite honestly, some are just downright ugly. But when this started to happen, especially over the past 5 to 10 years, it felt a lot like what I think California enthusiasts felt around the EV mandate. Now, there's nothing wrong with EVs. Everybody chill, all right? I do actually want a Ford Lightning because I think it'd be perfect for me up here in Wisconsin. I drive 3 miles from home to work and then 3 miles back. And all I need is space for my wife's random projects. They get 50% done and then I have to find a place to put them in my basement. That's all I need it for. I think that is a proper case study for an electric truck, okay? But to force it onto people is another thing. When there is a selective ban on things because a group doesn't like them and that group doesn't actually host any legal standing, but they're so leaned on by governments, it makes it an incredibly slippery slope that they have a lot more power than I think anyone actually thinks they do. Now, you can blame safety for Kei trucks not being on the road. Some people in my comments said that, but to allow a 1940s Jeep, that's silly. You can blame that they're slow, then restrict where they can go, like not go on highways. But you can't also state that they can't go on the same public roads where some UTVs are allowed to drive as well. So yes, Sean Murphy 282, I do care about my baby truck, and so do millions of others, because this was finally some good news, not only for Kei truck owners, but Kei Kei vehicle owners, JDM import enthusiasts, and all the folks who choose to try and own things that work for their lifestyle, regardless on if it's made here in America or made across the globe. But I am sorry that you guys apparently did not like my hair last year, because I was looking at the comments and that was rough. So hopefully this is better. So if you need car parts, mod your car with your friends over at Martini Works with wheel and tire packages shipped right to your door. And if you don't need car parts but you want to support for free, I'd highly recommend subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell button. It helps me loads with continuing this journey of traveling the globe to explore motorsports, car culture, and even talk about news like this. And you and I will be going to Le Mans in just a couple weeks, and I'd really love for you to come along with me. And if you think I'm as dumb as what this guy thinks, I guess you'll let me know too. Why? I keep doing that.